New York Giants fans, as we continue to put a bow on 2024 or whatever we would put on top of 2024 and start to look towards 2025, I always think it's important to kind of take stock of where we are in the place that matters the most. That's the division. The NFC East, while it may not be the best division in football, it's certainly not the worst. And it's always competitive, and there's always someone new at the top. So I thought it would be great in this episode to take a look at where a lot of the New York Giants' best players at their positions stack up versus the NFC East and where their best players are. It's only right that I start with defense. So without further ado, here we go. I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I have a giant issue. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of A Giant Issue. I am Coach Gene Clemons, New York Giants on SI. That's where you get all of your New York Giants news and information from. Make sure that you go over there, check out everything that's coming. It's the off season, so you know we're going to be giving you nothing but tons and tons and tons of content. Also, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you like this video. Noticing that the likes are going up, right? The comments has always been good, but continue to hit that. We passed the landmark, ladies and gentlemen, with the last video, and thank you because the last video is doing great numbers. The last few videos have been doing great numbers. Continue to run those up. But with the last video, I was looking at our analytics, and for the first time, I believe there were more people watching that are subscribed to the channel than are not. I believe the number was like 53% that were subscribed, but that means there's 47% of you out there that are watching this probably pretty regularly that still are not subscribed. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button to the New York Giants on SI YouTube page. That way you see anytime we do another one of these. Every time I drop it, you'll be right there for it. I don't want to take up a lot of your time, but I do want to go over it. So I'm going to jump right into it and get my little PowerPoint presentation popped up here so you can see what I see. Now, just so you know, what I did was I looked at the NFC East, and we're going defense today. And I looked at what I consider to be the best player at the 5 pivotal positions on the field for the defense. That's cornerback, that's safety, that's inside linebacker, edge, and then defensive line. So I did one for every team. Tell me if you agree, if you disagree where I have them ranked. I want to hear from you. As always, this is where we do conversation. This is where we have Discord. So I don't need you all to agree, but I want to hear what you think about it. Let's get it started. Right up there on the board, you see I've got my my NFC East rankings. We'll start with the cornerbacks, right? And the way I have these ranked from the best to the worst. You can see Philadelphia Eagles, Quinyon Mitchell, the young rookie. They really hit on Mitchell. I think he has the best talent in the NFC East as a cornerback. Now, some of you might say, "Oh, well, it could easily be, Darius Slay. He's the veteran." And yes, part of these rankings, right, take into consideration the overall defensive backfield. But when it comes to the cornerback tandem, who has the better cornerback tandem? Philly, other than Philly? Nobody, right? You got Mitchell, you got Slay. The nickel back is good. Like, they are loaded there, but it starts with Quinyon Mitchell, in my opinion, because I'm looking at all of this projecting forward. Deron Bland is number 2 for me. It's not Diggs, because Diggs has been hurt. Diggs is a feast or famine cornerback. So either he's going to make a pick or he might give up a big play. I don't really roll like that. Marshawn Lattimore, if we were talking about 2 to 3 years ago, he would be at the top of this list, right? Marshawn Lattimore is a guy who has been one of the best cornerbacks in the league, but he is no longer that. He's longer in the tooth, but he's still a guy who's savvy, who understands the game, who knows how to play. Deonte Banks is ranked 4th, and I want y'all to know this isn't me being down on Deonte Banks. It just shows you where the cornerbacks are in the NFC East. Deonte Banks is obviously the most inconsistent of all of these guys, but I also think that Deonte Banks has a similar athletic ceiling as a Quinyon Mitchell. I think he can be every bit as good as Mitchell. Part of that comes with being on a defense and a defensive backfield that's more cohesive, and I think that would help. But then when you get into the 2s and the 3s of the New York Giants, it's not even close. You would have an argument if it was a nickelback that the Giants might have the best nickelback, except I think that's in Philadelphia as well. So the cornerbacks rank out that way. We can see that the New York Giants are on the bottom, which means cornerback help is needed, right? If you have the worst cornerback of all of the number 1 cornerbacks in the division, you need cornerback help, even if it's just to add more quality cornerbacks to your locker room. Next, we're going to look at the safeties, right? And for this, I pretty much went with free safeties on here because I think strong safeties can be so subjective. They play a different type of game. Number 1 for me right now, Reed Blankenship. I think he is the most consistent of all of the safeties that we see on this list. Jason Pinnock, though, I believe has played really good safety for the New York Giants. I think that when they had Pinnock next to Zay, they had the safety tandem that would have been one of the best in the NFC East. The best in the NFC East and one of the best in the NFC, and they let the other guy go. But I also thought that Love and Zay could have eventually been the best, maybe the best in all of the NFL as a duo, right? But Jason Pinnock playing really good football, right? As that leader in the defensive backfield, but still, when you look at athletic prowess, when you look at his ability, he's probably at his ceiling, right? Quan Martin's a guy who's played decently this year, but not, in my opinion, nothing special. Donovan Wilson, same thing. He's played okay, but the Dallas secondary overall wasn't very good. The Washington secondary wasn't that great. The New York Giants secondary wasn't that great. Philadelphia, great. And therefore, you have what we have, which is Philadelphia at the top of the safety rankings. Next, we come down to the middle, inside linebacker. And if you guys think that I'm just like capping for Philadelphia, I'm really not. I'm trying to be as impartial as I can with this, right? Zach Bond is an all-pro. Pretty much says everything we need to know. His versatility, his ability to be able to rush the passer, but also play in the middle, his ability to go sideline to sideline. This is the one that was really close, right? Actually, all the next 3 are all really close for me. Zach Bond, I give him the edge over Bobby Wagner because I don't think Bobby Wagner's nearly as good of a rusher as Zach Bond is. I also think Bobby Wagner getting a little bit longer in the tooth. He doesn't move as fast sideline to sideline. He's still very instinctual. He still understands the game at such a high level that he can predict what's going to happen based off what he's reading. And so he's still up there. I think he was a second team All-Pro this year, if I'm not mistaken. Bobby Okereke is a guy that if we had did this last year, I would have had him at the top of the list. But for some reason, I don't really know why the way they used him did not take advantage of all of his talents, and he took a step back. He took maybe 2 steps back. Then he got injured. And then Eric Kendricks is somebody who I think is good but not great. And because you can run on Dallas and you can pass on Dallas, Eric Kendricks is going to get dropped down the list of guys. Because where are you supposed to go? Solid, but not great. But again, Okereke has the ability to be the top inside linebacker in the NFC East. The problem is that Philadelphia and Washington have better running mates for their interior linebackers than the Giants do. Because I just believe we're seeing the best we're going to get out of Micah McFadden. Right? This is the best he can be. A guy who's going to make some tackles, make a lot of tackles, but he's going to miss some tackles. And it's going to be at some critical times. Or he's going to hit the wrong hole and he's going to miss where he's supposed to be at. Right? So for me, I think that running mate has to get better. And then Okereke has to be able to ascend back to the level that we all looked at him at in 2023. Edge rushers, right? This one to me was actually easier than I thought, but it doesn't mean that I didn't think that everybody was talented on here. First off, you have to bring up the fact that I think all of these teams have multiple people who have an ability to get after the quarterback. Micah Parsons is clearly the class, right? But he has other people that are edges, outside linebackers that can get after the quarterback. Brian Burns, by a smidge, I'm giving him over Josh Sweat this year. But also, I think that when you add Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari, they have the ability to be just as good as Josh Sweat and Nolan Smith and the other edge rusher. I forget his off my name right now, but it's just as good as those guys that they have rotating over at Philadelphia. So that's why I give Burns and this New York Giants edge rushers the nod over Philly. Dante Fowler is down on the bottom, but he's still good. He's still out here balling. And they have a few guys who fall kind of into that same mark. They're not at the level of the other 3, but they are effective. And that's why I got interested once we started getting closer to the line of scrimmage, because everybody has one that is effective who has the best group. I think Micah Parsons being so much ahead of the others, when you add the group in, they still average out. But I like what New York has in pass rushers. I like what Philadelphia has when it comes to pass rushers off the edge. The last one for me is defensive tackles, and this is where the New York Giants go to the top. But you guys have to understand, this is the closest of all of them. And I'm going to show you the difference. Well, not show you, but I'm going to tell you the difference on why Philadelphia and Washington are better. And this is for those who believe that the Giants should go out and draft a defensive tackle with their first round draft pick. Because in Philadelphia, they've got 2 defensive tackles that are first round draft picks plopped right there in the middle of their defense. In Washington, they have 2 plopped right there in the middle of their defense. In Dallas, they have Matthew Smith. It's not 2. They get ran on. Now, the New York Giants had 2, but they let Leonard Williams, who played at a Pro Bowl level, an All-Pro level, once they traded him, and this past year, he didn't make it. He just came short of second team, but he played at a All-Pro level. They had him next to Lawrence, and they let it go. If you look at what Philadelphia and what Washington has done, they have not only, especially Washington, they not only drafted their dudes, but they retained their dudes. Right? They didn't let those dudes leave via free agent or trade them away. But Dexter Lawrence is the class because Dexter Lawrence, out of all of these, I think he gives you the best combination of a guy who can be a run stuffer in the middle and a pass rusher from the 0, the 1, 3, and has flexibility to play out at a 4 technique or a 5 like he did back in those Patrick Graham days. So he's got the versatility, he's got the stuff, the run stuff, plugger ability. He also has the pass rushing ability that gives him the nod. What he doesn't have is a legitimate interior running mate. And it's no diss to Nacho, but he's just not at the level of what Payne and Carter have next to them, right? And that guy may not be on the roster right now. So it is a legitimate argument as to why this team should think about taking a defensive tackle with that early pick. I still wouldn't do it, but I can understand why. So like that's my look at the defense. I think that if you consider what the Giants have, they're not devoid of talent. They're not devoid of elite level talent. They have elite level talent. But are they getting the most out of that elite level talent? That is what I continue to wonder. That is what continues to baffle me. Are they getting the most out of all of this talent that they have, or are they wasting it? And if they're wasting it, are they making it look worse than what it is, which makes this regime believe that they're not worth keeping? But clearly we see the talent's there because Xavier McKinney was on this team last year, and the team was, I believe, 3rd in turnovers, defensive turnovers, takeaways. They don't have him this year. He's one of the top interception guys in the league, and this defense is one of the lowest in takeaways in the league. I don't think that is by mistake. I don't think that happens. You see what impact Dexter Lawrence makes when he's in the game, and you saw what it looked like when he was out with injury. You see Brian Burns is a guy who makes a difference, but he's not Micah Parsons. He hasn't been yet, right? Let me say that. He hasn't been yet. There are other guys who are out there who make less than him, who are more productive than he is. Last year, before he came to this team, Kayvon Thibodeau was more productive when it came to sacks than he was, right? Now, Kayvon took a step back this year because of injuries and what have you. But, like, in order for this defense to become what this defense needs to become to facilitate and help this offense get this team over the hump, you have to have their top guys elevate up those levels, especially at cornerback, at linebacker, right? You got to get up those levels. You can't be out here with the worst cornerback or the worst defensive backfield in all of the NFC East and expect that you're going to have a chance to win it. That's just not how it works. So definitely, check it out. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you think. I want to see if you agree. If you disagree, who would you like? How would you rank them? Where would you put them? Do I have the wrong people? Do you think that there are other people who need to be in those spots? I doubt it, but if you do, then let me know. Like, if your argument is for Tyler Nubin, my argument, my response is going to be, well, he's a strong safety. He doesn't play very good in coverage. So what is he then? He's really a linebacker, right? So he's going to have to improve in that. And then if we start adding in strong safeties, is he better than the other strong safeties that are in the NFC East? You know what I'm saying? So I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you think. Let's start putting the energies towards what we think we need to see in order for this team to improve in 2025. And it starts right here by assessing where we are coming out of 2024. I'll be back with the offensive guys. Make sure that you're staying tuned. New York Giants on SI. That's where you get all of your New York Giants news and information from. Also, make sure that you're subscribed here, liking everything we do. We really do appreciate everything that y'all do, all of the great comments. And until next time, I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I have a giant issue.